All right, Shalom. I'm going to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rechak, Wadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops at Great Millstone. I'm your brother, Rabbi Nap, coming out with a lesson, Lord's will. This is edifying to the Lord's elect. And of course, I'm going to start in the news, see what's going on. It says, Duck extends Iran deadline on Strait of Hormuz as stocks tumble. So let's see what this is talking about. Oh, they ain't gonna let me read it. I'm only gonna read what it allows me to see. I'm not clicking anything. Create your free account, I ain't creating nothing. Let me see if I can X out of it. Nope. It says President Duck pivoted after escalating threats. Israel also announced it had killed an Iranian commander leading efforts to block the Strait of Hormuz to almost all shipping traffic. So another Iranian commander killed supposedly. We'll see if it's all true. We'll see. We'll see, man. But yeah, today's Friday, so this would have been the deadline from his previous deadline. He said they got 5 days to open up the Strait of Hormuz, so he was going to bomb their power plants. Now he pushed that to April 6th. So today's what? The 27th, 28th. Today's the 27th. So. Which you got 4 days left in March. So now you're giving him 10 days. So we'll see. He probably pushed the he switched the deadline within the 48 hours. That was he's all over the place. Versus 48, before that was 10 to 15 days. Now it's saying it's 5 next. Now it's 10 more days again. But you're the one in an office building threatening people. You in an office space, in a Hyatt, in a hotel, talking shit, asking what's the passcode so they can get talk to CENTCOM. They need the passcode to get to talk about military things like that. Pathetic, man. But then the Duck is over here telling them to surrender their weapons. Why would I do that? You ain't got no military bases over there anymore. Where you gonna be sending these troops that you wanna bring troops to the Middle East? Where they gonna go? Are you gonna set up shop at the Hyatt, at the Sheraton? Y'all can. That's the muster point now over there in the Middle East. You gotta make a reservation because you can't even go to the Middle East anymore because the U.S. Army's hiding in the hotels over there. So now nobody can go to the Middle East and enjoy the beautiful land that's over there because the Duck got all his troops up in there. It says Pentagon weighs sending 10,000 more combat troops to the Middle East. I don't think they got enough hotels to fit 10,000 more combat troops over there, man. You might have to build a Duck Tower over there first, so you can house your troops that's going over there. Let's see what this is talking about. The White House and the Pentagon are considering sending at least 10,000 additional combat troops to the Middle East in the coming days, according to a senior U.S. defense official. So 2,000 plus 200, 2,200 plus 5,000 is 7,200 plus 10,000 is 17,200. So where you sending all these troops? I thought the Marines were supposed to open the door so you can get up in there, but the Marines are the ones that's in the hotels. And the Iranians said it, according to the New York, one of those New York newspapers, that they're hiding within civilian populations. He said the American terrorists are hiding within civilian populations, just like those Arabs used to do. When they went to attack Iraq, that's what ISIS used to do, used to hide amongst the civilian population. But Esau didn't give a fuck, he still blew them up. That's why they tell him Bahrain and the UAE, if you are housing these criminals, that they're gonna blow those buildings up. Okay? Which makes me think of Proverbs 11:21, though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not go unpunished. So you don't have to not house them. You can keep them over there. But they said they're hunting them. Okay? The wild boar is looking for the leopard. That's what's going on in the Middle East. It says why it matters. If the Duck administration decides to send extra troops, it will significantly increase the number of combat soldiers the U.S. has in the region. It is another signal that a U.S. ground operation in Iran is being seriously prepared. Ooh, Iran must be very scared. They just sent 1 million men to Karg Island. What is 10,000 going to do to 1 million men? That's what you're going up against. 1 million angry Iranians who hang their own people. So what do you think they're gonna do to you when they catch your little TikTok dancing ass over there? What do you think they're gonna do to you? As a matter of fact, let's start over there. You gotta count the cost, man. So the Duck ain't counting the cost. He probably is counting the cost though, as a matter of fact, because you're really a sacrifice to Baal. That's why you're going over there. Okay? Iran told you how they think about you. They showing you who they worship, and you want to fight on that side. So hey, that's what you get. That's what you get. You want to be dumb, you get a dumb reward. Luke 14, I'm going to start at the top. And it came to pass, as he went into the house of one of the chief Pharisees to eat bread on a Sabbath day, that they watched him. It says, Jerusalem, desolate house. Let's see. Luke 14:2. And behold, there was a certain man before him which had the dropsy. Let's see what the dropsy is real quick, as a matter of fact. I forgot what they call that now. Dropsy. 14. Actually, let me just, what is dropsy? What is dropsy? In the Bible, dropsy is a disease characterized by the abnormal accumulation of fluid, causing severe swelling in limbs or the abdomen, often signaling heart, kidney, or liver failure. It appears only once in Luke 14:2, where Yahushua hails a dropsical man on the Sabbath, challenging Pharisees' legalism. So it only appears there. So some disease in your kidneys or your liver that causes swelling. I don't know what they would consider that today. What's the modern day? How you doing, my man? Have a blessed day. What is the modern day disease dropsy called? Dropsy is known in modern medicine as edema, or it refers to swelling caused by excess fluid trapped in the body's tissues. It's showing this swollen ass. Oh my gosh. You can press your finger into her leg. Oh man, I actually saw somebody on the internet yesterday. They were rubbing this Asian lady's feet, and so much blood was in her, just sitting there in her leg, that they rubbed it all the way. You could see the skin pop up. It was going all the way into the toes, man. That's probably what the hell that was, man. Just stagnated blood. You gotta keep moving, man. You can't just be sitting around. You gotta be standing up. You gotta be walking. You gotta be moving that blood around, man. Luke 14 and verse 3. And Yahushua answering spake unto the lawyers and Pharisees, saying, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath day? And they held their peace, and he took him and healed him and let him go. So he's doing this on the Sabbath day. So you ain't supposed to do any work on the Sabbath. Okay? But because we're in captivity, it's hard to do that. Even if you keep the Sabbath goes into the next day. So you end up violating it some way, somehow. Okay, so it's to show you even with your best effort, you're not able to keep it. You got to go to work the next day, and the Sabbath is constantly changing. You know, some people try to say it's on Saturday, but it's not always on Saturday. Like right now, it's on Wednesday. So that, you know, the schedule, your work-life schedule is not going to fit with the Sabbath day. You know, but the one thing that you can do, just like Yahweh Shai says, let me see what's that, in Matthew 12, let me see what that says. That the priest worked on the Sabbath day. So they were always, and that wasn't unlawful. You know, but it depends what kind of work you're doing. And that's what Yahweh Shai was showing these Pharisees. Matthew 12, and verse number 10 is giving me. Let's see what that says. Matthew chapter 12, verse 10, and behold, there was a man which had his hand withered. And they asked him, saying, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath day? That they might accuse him. And he said unto them, what man shall there be among you that shall have one sheep? And if it fall into a pit on the Sabbath day, will he not lay hold on it and lift it out? How much then is a man better than a sheep? Wherefore it is lawful to do well on the Sabbath days. That's right. So he's telling you it is well to do. If you had a sheep stuck in a ditch, you would take it out. That's where we're at right now. Our sheep, a lot of us break the Sabbath because our sheep is stuck in a ditch. We got to pay bills. We got to, you know, that's your livelihood. You know, you're in debt, so it's hard to take the Sabbath, but you don't even recognize the Sabbath day as it is written. So you always going off on the Sabbath. At least if you strive to learn about the Lord, he'll reveal these things to you so you have a complete understanding of why you can't even keep it if you try. That doesn't mean you don't keep it. You recognize it and you strive to keep the law, even in this perverse generation that we living in. Finish this up. Luke 14 and verse number 5, and answered them, saying, which of you shall have an ass or an ox fallen into a pit, and will not straightway pull him out on the Sabbath day? And they could not answer him again to these things. And he put forth a parable to those which were bidden, when he marked how they chose out the chief rooms, saying unto them, when thou art bidden of any man to a wedding, sit not down in the highest room, lest a more honorable man than thou be bidden of him. And he that bade thee, and him come and say to thee, give this man place, and thou begin with shame to take the lowest room. So if you get bidden to a marriage, you don't go sit in the top seat. You know, there's different seats for everybody in a marriage, man. You don't want to put yourself in a position, you know, thinking, okay, I probably belong over here next to the bride and the bridegroom, you know, up close. You know, and it'll be embarrassing when they come up to you and tell you, no, your seat's by the bathroom, my man. You know, you're going to bring shame to yourself. Luke 14, verse number 10, but when thou art bidden, go and sit down in the lowest room, that when he that bade thee cometh, he may say unto thee, friend, go up higher. Then shalt thou have worship in the presence of them that sit at meat with thee. That's right. Because you were humble. Sitting in the highest seat, you know, it's showing a sense of pride. You just want to go, you know, your pride is telling you to go over there. But if you were humble, you would acknowledge you don't know where your seat is. So it's better to go to the lowest seat. You know, and hope, and if that ain't the seat, then, you know, he'll move me. But if I sit in the highest, then he's gonna move me to a lower seat. That's embarrassing. That's the parable. Luke 14 and 11, for whosoever exalteth himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted. So that's what he's telling the Sadducees and Pharisees. You can't exalt yourself, man. Or you're gonna be abased, because that's what the Lord's coming to do. He's even doing that with Esau. He's going to abase Esau, and he's going to exalt the nation of Israel. Because they're the lowly. They're the lowest. He's sitting in the chief seat right now, which don't even belong to him. You read 2nd Esdras, the 6th chapter, that belongs to the nation of Israel. The Lord put it in his mind for them, so he's going to abase him. Get your ass out of that seat and go next to the bathroom. Matter of fact, go inside the trash can. That's where your seat's at. You don't have a seat here. Okay? Let me grab this in the book of Isaiah 47. Hopefully I can get to my precept. Isaiah chapter 47. Verse 1, come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Yeah, so come sit on the ground, okay? There's no seat for you, Esau, O daughter of the Chaldeans. He's sitting in the top chief seat. He's in the position of where the Lord's supposed to be. The earth was given into the hand of the wicked, but it really belongs to Yahweh Shai. That's why he's sitting in the seat of authority. He's telling other nations what they need and need not to do. But we're seeing he don't belong there. He can't maintain it. The crown's too heavy for him. Isaiah chapter 3. And is it Isaiah? Isaiah 3 verse 26, and her gate shall lament and mourn, and she being desolate shall sit upon the ground. That's right. She being desolate shall sit upon the ground. Now that's talking about Israel. That's talking about us lamenting during the war. But this applies to Esau. Okay? Even though it's talking about a woman sitting on the ground because the men are going to go out to war, going into Isaiah 4:1, meaning that, 7 women shall take hold of 1 man. So you women are going to be lamenting the fact that there's no men to take care of you and it's going to be all hell breaking loose. But the fact that she's sitting on the ground mourning is the same position that the so-called white man's going to find his ass in. Because he thought he was proud. Jeremiah chapter 48 and verse number 18, it says, thou daughter that doest inhabit Dibon, come down from that glory and sit in thirst. For the spoiler of Moab shall come upon thee, and he shall destroy thy strongholds. Yeah, so come sit down. Okay, sit in thirst. You're going to get spoiled. Same thing with the heathen. Moab's talking about the so-called Chinese man. But Esau is no more going to be called tender and delicate. There is no throne. A tender and delicate woman would be like somebody when you were in slavery, when the so-called Negroes were in slavery, the so-called white woman would have been considered tender and delicate. She didn't have to do any work. She had maids and everything, so she didn't even really have to get her hands dirty. They were brushing her hair, telling how beautiful she was. She was tender and delicate. She had a skewed reality compared to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who were living in shacks in the backyard, eating fucking scraps from your master. She didn't have to work. She was delegating. She was telling you what to do. So that would be tender and delicate. Her clothes were clean all the time. You were washing them. She didn't take care of her kids. You did. She would even use your breast milk to feed them. Okay. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 53, Isaiah 52, in verse 1, awake, awake, put on thy strength, O Zion, talking about you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Your strength is this wisdom and knowledge of who you are, what the name of the Lord is, and the law, statutes, and commandments. O Jerusalem, the holy city, and Jerusalem is a people before it's a place. Jerusalem can't put on a garment, okay? That's talking about you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. For henceforth there shall no more come into thee the uncircumcised and the unclean. That's the heathen. The uncircumcised and the unclean, because they weren't given the law, statutes, and commandments. Shake thyself from the dust. Dust means confusion. gotta shake it off, man. You gotta get this. You gotta get this word. Arise and sit down, O Jerusalem. So now we got seats. So arise and sit down, O Jerusalem. Okay, we got seats in this marriage. Okay, but the heathen don't. Loose thyself from the bands off thy neck. So bands represent, you know, chains. You know, you loose yourself through the truth. Okay, you should know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Because you're in captivity mentally, not knowing who you are. You calling yourself everything outside of being Israel. That's a chain on you. Okay, you have no hope in the Lord. That's a chain on you. You don't understand the prophecies of the Bible. That's a chain on you. You don't know who you are. You're in gross darkness. Oh, captive daughter of Zion. So you're a captive under the so-called white man who's running around claiming to be you. He's in your inherited land. What the hell is Ishmael doing in the land of Jerusalem? Didn't his mother get kicked out of the land? Didn't Sarah tell her, get that woman out, told Abraham, get that nasty bitch up out of here? She was mad. That's Hagar's mother, that's Hagar. Okay? Going into kicking out Ishmael. Ishmael got kicked out by Sarah. Sarah kicked Ishmael's ass and his mama. You and your son get the fuck up out of here. Well, that bitch in that nigga's back over there now. Your uncle Ishmael. Ishmael's over there. And they about to get out of there again. Because the son Isaac is coming to take Ishmael out as well as Esau. Isaac is the Lord. Okay. Let me grab this. In Genesis. Genesis, like, what's that? 20. Nope, that's too late. She's dying in that 23. Abraham, God's promise of his son. Let's see, Genesis chapter 17. I'll start at 15. Genesis 17 and 15. And God said unto Abraham, as for Sarai, thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall her name be. And I will bless her and give thee a son also of her. Yea, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall be of her. And that's talking about the nation of Israel. Then Abraham fell upon his face and laughed, and said in his heart, shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old? And shall Sarah that is 90 years old bear? And Abraham said unto God, O that Ishmael might live before thee. And God said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. Yeah, Abraham wanted Ishmael to rule. And as for Ishmael, Genesis 17 and 20, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him, and I will make him fruitful and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation. And he already got that. So similar to Israel. 12 princes. You know, you can see Ishmael now. He's doing really good over there. Okay. And he is a pretty much great nation, even though he's wild as hell. Genesis 17 and 21. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto thee at this set time in the next year. And he left off talking with him, and God went up from Abraham. And Abraham took Ishmael his son, and all that were born in his house, and all that were brought with his money, every male among the men of Abraham's house, and circumcised the flesh of their foreskin in the selfsame day, as God had said unto him. And Abraham was 90 years old and 9 when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. So he got circumcised at 99 years old. And Ishmael his son was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. And the selfsame day was Abraham circumcised, and Ishmael his son, and all the men of his house born in the house and bought with money of the stranger were circumcised with him. So even his servants, his handmaids, not his handmaids, but his servants, I should say, they were all circumcised. I'm trying to get to the point where Sarah kicks out Hagar. Can't find it. No, it's not Genesis 19. The evil men of Sodom. Nope, that's not what I'm talking about. Lot and his family flee. No. I gotta find it. Can't find it. Sarah kicks out Hagar. Sarah kicks Hagar out the house with Ishmael. KJV. Genesis 21. I should have just did that. Genesis 21. Genesis 21 and 1. And the Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did unto Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah conceived and bare Abraham a son in his old age, at the set time of which God had spoken to him. And Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bare to him, Isaac. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac, being 8 days old, as God had commanded him. And Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born unto him. And Sarah said, Go, God hath made me to laugh, so that all that hear will laugh with me. And that's what Isaac means. It means to laugh. Okay? So that shows you that the Lord's going to have the last laugh right there. Because Isaac is the one who gave Esau the sword as a blessing. And when the Lord returns in the reincarnation, well, he's already reincarnated as Yahweh Shai, he's going to come back and take that sword away from him. He's going to kill him with the sword. Genesis 21 in verse 5, and Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born unto him. And Sarah said, God hath made me to laugh, so that all that hear will laugh with me. And she said, Who would have said unto Abraham that Sarah should have given children suck? For I have borne him a son in his old age. And the child grew and was weaned. And Abraham made a great feast the same day that Isaac was weaned. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, which she had borne unto Abraham, mocking. Wherefore she said unto Abraham, Cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, even with Isaac. So Sarah even said that Ishmael ain't going to be heir with my son. Okay, she was mocking. She probably thought she was the shit because Sarah couldn't have kids, and then now that she bear a kid, now Hagar is talking shit. Genesis 21 and 11, and the thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight because of his son. And God said unto Abraham, Let it not be grievous in the sight because of the lad, and because of thy bondwoman, and all that Sarah have said unto thee, hearken unto her voice, for in Isaac shall thy seed be called. That's right. Everything that Sarah said, hearken unto thee. Meaning, listen to your wife, man. Kick Hagar out with her son. Okay. So that's what the Lord told Abraham. Genesis 21 and 13, and also of the son of the bondwoman will I make a nation, because he is thy seed. Yeah, he is thy seed. He was born of you. You know, Ishmael's a Hebrew, but he's not considered an Israelite because after Isaac brought in Jacob and Esau, and the blessing didn't go to Esau either. So it didn't go to Ishmael, didn't go to Esau's stupid ass. Okay, it went to Jacob. Okay, Genesis 21 and verse number 14. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and took bread and a bottle of water and gave it unto Hagar, putting it on her shoulder and the child, and sent her away. And she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. So Beersheba is going towards Yemen. Well, Sheba would be modern day Yemen. I don't know where Beersheba would be. Let's find out. She went a long way from Israel to Beersheba. That's a long journey. And he still occupies those lands. Where's modern day Beersheba? Oh, modern day Beersheba is located southern Israel, serving as the capital of Negev desert region. It is roughly 115 kilometers southeast of Tel Aviv and 120 kilometers southwest of Jerusalem. The city is a major industrial. Okay, so it's modern day southern Israel. Let me see what the map shows me. And Negev, so just south of Idumea. In between Idumea and Mount Sinai. So that's in Israel. Genesis 21, in verse 15, and the water was spent in the bottle, and she cast the child under one of the shrubs, and she went and sat her down over against him a good way off, as it were a bow shot. For she said, let me not see the death of the child. And she sat over against him and lifted up her voice and wept. So Abraham gave her some water and some bread and told her to get on her way. But the Lord was going to bless her, bless Ishmael, and he did. Genesis 21 and verse 17, and God heard the voice of the lad, and the angel of God called to Hagar out of heaven and said unto her, what aileth thee, Hagar? Fear not, for God hath heard the voice of the lad where he is. Arise, lift up the lad, and hold him in thine hand, for I will make him a great nation. And God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water, and she went and filled the bottle with water and gave the lad drink. Makes me think about that woman at the well. You know, she actually was given some water. Genesis 21 and 20, and God was with the lad and he grew and dwelt in the wilderness and became an archer. That's pretty much it. He got kicked out of the land, but now he's back. Luke 14, verse number 12. Then said he also to him that bade him, when thou makest a dinner or a supper, call not thy friends, nor thy brethren, neither thy kinsmen, nor thy rich neighbors, lest they also bid thee again, and a recompense be made thee. So you call somebody, when you make us a dinner or a supper, you know, you're doing it not to be recompensed. You just want to give it to them. But when you give it to rich people, you know, your friends and things like that, they're going to recompense you back, meaning bring you back to call you to a party too after, you know, so to show you, to recompense you for your efforts towards them. Luke 14, verse 13, but when thou makest a feast, call the poor, the maimed, the lame, and the blind, and thou shalt be blessed, for they cannot recompense thee, but thou shalt be recompensed at the resurrection of the just. That's right, thou shalt be recompensed. So we've been into the marriage. Okay, and the resurrection of the just is when we get changed into our new bodies. Okay, that's why Yahweh Shai said he wasn't gonna drink the wine with the disciples till they get into the kingdom. You know, Luke 14 and verse 15. And when one of them that sat at meat with him heard these things, he said unto him, Blessed is he that shall eat bread in the kingdom of God. That's right. Blessed is he that shall eat bread in the kingdom of God. All right, and that's ultimately talking about the nation of Israel. Because we're the ones that are gonna be, the bread is for us. The crumbs, that's for the other nations. We're gonna be eating the bread. We're gonna be eating it all. Okay, we're gonna eat the whole loaf. Whatever falls off the side of your lip and it fall on the ground, the heathen can have that. Matter of fact, let me grab that in the book of Matthew chapter 10, Matthew chapter 15, I should say. You know how your dog, he be around the table, he waiting for you to drop something so you can eat it. That's how these heathen are gonna be. But they're gonna be eating good because the bread is gonna be overflowing. Matthew 15 and verse number Matthew 15 and verse where is it? I started at 21. Matthew 15 and 21. Then Yahushua went thence and departed into the coast of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, Have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with the devil. But he answered her not a word. And his disciples came and besought him, saying, Send her away, for she crieth after us. Now, some other groups are going to tell you that that Canaanite woman is a heathen, but she's not, because he didn't answer her a word. Okay, she's asking for her daughter to be. She got a devil on her, which is a spirit, and she's asking the Lord to get this spirit off her, pretty much. But he answered her not a word, So some people think because he answered her not a word that she was a heathen. But you got to keep reading. Matthew 15. A couple groups break it down like that. Matthew 15 verse 23, but she is an Israelite. But he answered her not a word, and his disciples came and besought him, saying, Send her away, for she crieth after us. And you know, another key point to point out is that the disciples, you know, they were still following Yahushua. They didn't really understand, just like a lot of Israelites today. They see a so-called white person, they just think he's an Edomite. That's kind of carnal, you know. Yahushua, he got the spirit, man. He understands that, you know, our people are in these different nations. Okay, she might have been dressed like a Canaanite, which would be a Hamite at that time, you know, but he understood that she was Israel. But sometimes when you first come in this truth, you think everybody that's black is an Israelite, and that's not the case. There's some black-only Israelites, there's some Latinos only. I'd have never heard of them, but there probably is Latino-only Israelites. But that ain't the way to go, man. That's like kind of putting your foot in the water, but still not really understanding the scriptures. You know, so not everyone got a different level of faith, man. Some people, they can't acknowledge somebody outside of their own preconceived. You know, they can't get through their worldview, and that's ultimately that's where the Lord got them at that time. But as you grow, you'll see other Israelites. As you study, you'll see other Israelites making their call in an election. So who are you to say that they're not Israel? If they're coming, they believe the report. That's a big sign of faith, man. Even if you're a speckled bird. I'm still waiting to see a Moabite come out here and teach this word, though. But like I said, I got people in my family, they're Vietnamese, and they're Jakes. So I see it firsthand that Israel looks like, and I got cousins that look like a so-called white man, and they're Jake too. So I know firsthand that these other nations, that Jake is in these other nations. Matthew 15 in verse 24, but he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Then came she and worshipped him, saying, Lord, help me. But he answered and said, it is not meet to take the children's bread to cast it to dogs. So it's not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to dogs. That's the point of us eating the bread in the kingdom. Yeah, blessed is he who eat the bread in the kingdom. Right now, you know, a lot of false teachers, they try and take the bread and cast it to the dogs. The kingdom's not for the other nations. The kingdom is a representation of the bread. The Lord's breaking bread with his people. Okay? That don't belong to the other nations. Everlasting salvation. That's you casting your bread to the dogs. You know, the promises, immortality, that don't belong to the other nations. Going up to these other the mansions in heaven, in the heavens, I should say, that don't belong to Esau and these other nations. That's all vain hope. But that's what these modern day doctrines preach. They preach that bread can be cast to the dogs. The dogs are the representation of the heathen nations. Okay. Matthew 15, verse 27, and she said, truth, Lord, yet the dogs eat of the crumbs which fall from their master's table. Then Yahushua answered and said unto her, O woman, great is thy faith, be it unto thee even as thou wilt. And her daughter was made whole from that very hour. So there you go. Daughter was made whole from that very hour. Just told her, I'm not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Now he's saying you got great faith. Okay, first of all, anything that's great is coming from Israel. That's number one. All right, and her faith is that the faith that she had shows you that she's Israel. Number one. Number two, he healed her daughter. And he just said, I'm not sent unto the lost sheep, unto the house of Israel. All right. Matthew chapter, is that it? That's pretty much it. Going back to that bread. Luke 14, verse 15, and one of them that sat at meat with him heard these things. He said unto him, blessed is he that shall eat bread in the kingdom of God. Then said he unto him, a certain man made a great supper and bade many, and sent his servant at supper time to say to them that were bidden, come, for all things are now ready. And they all with one consent began to make excuse. The first said unto him, I have bought a piece of ground, and I must needs go and see it. I pray thee, have me excused. And that's what a lot of you Israelites do. Make a lot of excuses when it comes to coming to the marriage, man. Coming into the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. It tells you in Ecclesiastes 5 and 7, make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, and put not off from day to day. So you ain't supposed to be putting the day of the Lord off. You're supposed to be learning about him and getting closer to him. Luke 14, verse number 18, and they all with one consent began to make excuse. The first said unto him, I have bought a piece of ground, and I must needs go and see it. I pray thee, have me excused. And another said, I have bought 5 yoke of oxen, and I go to prove them. I pray thee, have me excused. So this other one saying, oh, okay, I got oxen I gotta prove. He didn't want to come to the supper either. And that's just symbolic of the silly ass excuses that you Israelites have when you're met with the invitation, when you get your calling. Okay, that's why it tells you that many are called but few are chosen. Luke 14, verse 19, and another said, I have bought 5 yoke of oxen, and I go to prove them. I pray thee, have me excused. And another said, I have married a wife, and therefore I cannot come. So that servant came and showed his lord these things. Then the master of the house, being angry, said to his servant, go out quickly into the streets and lanes of the city, and bring in hither the poor and the maimed and the halt and the blind. So that's really talking about, that's really the elect, you know, because they got healed through this word. We were all once in darkness, then we received Yahushua, and we started to walk, we started to see, okay, and we've been bidden to the marriage. Luke 14, verse 22, and the servant said, Lord, it is done as thou hast commanded, and yet there is room. And the Lord said unto the servant, go out into the highways and hedges, and compel them to come in, that my house may be filled. So this was like right now. You know, there's still room. Going into the book of Revelation, where it tells you, Revelation, the 7th chapter. Let's grab that real quick. Because that's when we know it's game over. Revelation chapter 7 and verse 1. And after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind shall not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. So the Lord got angels holding back the destruction. You know, that's why these countries ain't killing each other, because the angels are controlling them. All right? So this word can go up. Revelation 7 and 2, and I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God, and he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and they were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. So that's a cut to Christianity big time. Saying everybody can be saved. That don't mean that. Okay? They ain't talking about the elect. If everyone can be saved, the people who are sealed, the sealing is the name of the Lord. When you read Revelation 14, it starts with this name. Revelation 14 in verse number 2. And I heard the voice from heaven as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of the great thunder. And I heard, actually, excuse me, it's verse number 1. Revelation 14 and 1. Revelation 14, verse 1. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having the Father's name written in their foreheads. So the Father's name is Yahweh, but you need both names. You need Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua. It tells you in the NLT, the Father and the Son, but it says written on their foreheads. But it's pretty much just having the names in your mind. These people don't have that name in their mind. Okay, even though the name is being, the Lord's publicly making his name known, and people ain't receiving it because they're not of his. Luke 14 in verse 22. Luke 14 and verse 24. For I say unto you that none of those men which were bidden shall taste of my supper. That's right. None of those men which were bidden shall taste of my supper. So you didn't come into this truth. So you're not gonna, you're gonna taste the death. All right? That's what you're gonna taste of. You're not gonna come into the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. And this is, the feast is already happening. We're already eating. But because you didn't want to come in and eat, hey, you're going to receive your damnation. Luke 14 and 25, and there went great multitudes with him, and he turned and said unto them, if any man come to me and hate not his father and mother and wife and children and brethren and sisters, yea, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple. So you got to love them less, okay? Love them less. The Lord comes first, and everything else comes second. Okay, you can't love them more than you love the Lord, or you can't be his disciples. Well, a lot of people, that's a stumbling block. But that's what Yahweh Shai is to a lot of people. He's a stumbling block to the majority of so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. They can never put it in their mind to love the Lord, someone they don't see, more than something they do see, because they're carnal. Not understanding the scriptures. Okay? Lord can take all those things away from you, and then what? Now you're destroyed. Now you want to die too. You don't want to stand up for the Lord. So that means you never really cared about the Lord. You were idolizing your family, not knowing the Lord gave you the family. That's his family. Okay? He allowed you to take care of them in the flesh. Just like he told Ezra, man, you think you love the children of Israel more than I? You don't even love your family more than the Lord loves your family. So you got to give, and he's the one creating all the destruction. So you got to give him his reverence. Luke 14, verse 27, whosoever doth not bear his cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. And you bear your cross by standing up for this truth and enduring into the end. Okay? You got to bear that. You got to bear the indignation of the Lord. Having this truth and whatever the Lord brings upon you, that's part of bearing your cross. Okay? Not being able to forsaken in this world. Keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. The Lord is the example of bearing the cross. Okay? He did it perfectly. You got to do the same thing, but we're going to fall a lot of the times. But at the same time, he going to make sure we good. Luke 14, verse 28, for which of you intending to build a tower sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it? You got to count the cost when you come into this truth, because you can't drop the plow. You know, I tell, you know, at least on this channel, if you don't teach unless you're ready to teach every single day. That's my advice. If you ain't willing to, well, you got to, you know, it's not that you have to do that, but you got to go. You can't be lukewarm, man. There's a lot of lukewarm Israelites. You know, you can't be lukewarm. So don't come into this truth thinking you can just do whatever, do what you want to do whenever you want. That's not, the Lord He's gonna spew you out. You know? So if you do got the mindset, okay, I wanna start teaching, you know, you don't have to be, you know, you gotta be building, you gotta keep building yourself up to do that though. They don't gonna tell you that. But there's plenty of precepts. You gotta be persuaded in your own mind. You gotta know what the Lord's looking for. When he tells you to be diligent in making calling and election sure, that's you putting yourself on as the elect of Israel. So that also comes with teaching the doctrine correctly. That's number one. You got to get the doctrine right. That's number one. You got to make sure, well, first of all, you got to make sure you're right. You don't want to be considered a castaway. You want to be keeping the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of your ability. Then you want to get the doctrine perfect. All right. And then you want to, even that's even a struggle too. Because it takes time to, you got to fully be persuaded. You got to go, you got to look into everything. Every word, every context. You got to read all commentary. I don't care, everything. If the top scholars talking about the scriptures, you want to know about it. You know, and then most importantly, the spirit got to be dealing with you. If the spirit ain't with you, man, you're going to faint. You're going to give up. Proverbs 24 and 27, prepare thy work without and make it fit for thyself in the field, and afterwards build thine house. So prepare thy work without and make it fit for you in the field. So when you building a house, man, you know, you want to make sure you have everything in order before you start to build that house. You know, like a carpenter, he'll size the wood and cut it to make sure it's perfect when he's building the house. Shalom, kid. Shalom. 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 Hey, that's the spirit, man. He says shalom. See? Israel's out here, man. There's a lot of believers. You don't see them, but they out here, man. A lot of people don't think like the so-called white man in the Bible. They don't trust that nigga. Nigga's stupid as hell. They don't know shit about the Bible. Anyways, you gotta get all the stuff together. You gotta have all your tools. You know, when you're building a house, you gotta use the same. You know, when it comes to this ministry, you gotta use the same tools that the elders use. You know, they go into the blue letter, they go into the words. So they're showing you the tools that they use to come to the same conclusion, to the same measurements. And then you teach your people the same thing. Not giving them any GMO. And if you're a really good teacher, you might even get some FBI agents that come out of nowhere and fuck with you. That's a good thing, man. Then you might get, they might send people over to you to come fuck with you. But that's bearing your cross. That's the afflictions. That's you having the Holy Spirit and him baptizing you with fire. So you got to deal with that. It shows you how wicked this kingdom actually is. You cannot be bothering anybody just reading the Bible on the corner, and this nigga Esau will attack you. Spiritually, he'll send agents towards you to ask you stupid ass questions. Send some crackhead, and he always sends some nasty fucking Edomites. The fucking breath stink. There's some nasty, everybody Esau sent was some nasty people, man. Disgusting. So if you're lucky, you might get one of them to come and test you. Luke 14, verse 29, less happily after he have laid the foundation and is not able to finish it, all that behold it begin to mock him. Yeah, you begin to lay the foundation and you're not able to finish it. All that behold him will mock him. Esau's going to mock you. Like he told you in 2nd Esdras, the 16th chapter. You shall be trodden under made a reproach and trodden underfoot. Okay? Especially when you get that MOTB. So a lot of people are going to be teaching all the way up to the point where the MOTB comes. And there's some people that are just allotted just to take it. And they done did all the work. You know? So you don't want to be that guy either. You just hope and pray that but it ain't really up to you. It's really the Lord. But the Lord's going to put the spirit on you to not receive that chip if you're part of that number. You're not going to get the chip. You're going to die before you get that chip, man. And hopefully the Lord gives you the strength to choose death over receiving the chip. Because some of y'all are going to be so scared. You know, death is scary. It's not like, it's not. But you're going to need that faith to get over that hump. Okay? Because then you're going to take it and then you're condemned. You're going to be a condemned soul, man. You're going to be like, oh, I took the chip. You're going to get the grievous sore. And then you know destruction's coming. Y'all going to be Bible scholars then when y'all get that MOTB. Oh, is this the MOTB? I think they were lying. They weren't telling the truth. You can repent from the MOTB. Then they're going to start going into the blue letter. They're going to be knowing what the Karachma is. They're going to be looking at all the letters in the Greek. And then they're going to realize it. They didn't want to hear it when it was told to them. But then after they take it, that's when they're going to want to go into the scriptures. They're going to want to be super scholarly to try to feel some type of comfort from the scriptures because they got the grievous sore. Even when Esau's about to die, nigga be giving all his life savings up so he can get some place called purgatory. That shit ain't coming to you, man. They give their life savings up thinking they're gonna have a space in heaven. They know they're about to kick the bucket. And that's why the Catholic Church be making mad money. I wish I was getting some of that money telling Edomites, I got a bridge in heaven I can sell you. Just robbing them. Luke 14, verse 30, saying this man began to build and was not able to finish. Yeah, that's right. This man, he's an Israelite. He was on the highways and hedges. He said the so-called white man's the devil. He's going to get put to death and his kingdom, and they're going to rule over him. Now look at you. You got the MOTB in your fucking forehead, in your right hand. They're going to laugh at you. That's funny. You began to build, but you weren't able to finish. So now you're a laughing stock. Okay? So your enemy gonna laugh at you in that time. Hey, somebody at you too. The Lord's gonna be laughing at you. That's why you make sure you get that, do all you can now while the getting is good. Putting that off from day to day. Luke 14, verse 31. Or what king going to make war against another king sitteth not down first and consulteth whether he be able with 10,000 to meet him that cometh against him with 20,000. That's the 10,000 troops that Duck's going to send. He's literally about to send 10,000 over there. That's probably why he did it. To meet them, that's 20,000. Those Iranians got 1 million men over there, man. So that's more than 20,000. You would sit down first and count the cost. He's not counting the cost. He's sending y'all over there to get sacrificed to God of Baal, God that blessed America. And he's putting his signature on your US dollar. So he's signing the Nordus Ordus Quorum, Suporum, some shit like that. Trying to say New World Order in Latin, but I might have got it wrong. So he's for that shit. So that means if he's putting his money on his name on your dollar's done. It's worth shit now. It's fake. He might even come out with a dollar that's $1,000 bill with his face on it. Cause that's how you're gonna your gas. You're gonna have to pay thousands of dollars to get gas. The stock market might go astronomically high. So you're gonna think everything's good. Oh shit, the stock market's up. Bitcoin's fucking $1 million. But then gas costs $10,000 for gas to fill up your tank. Oh man. Or maybe you can buy that gold card that Duck was trying to sell you. You immigrants. That's probably why he made it $1 million, something crazy. So, because you know inflation about to go up, so then you can pay your way to be here when everything is astronomically high to be destroyed. He's gonna figure out a way to rob you. Let's read that again. Luke chapter 14, verse 31. Or what king going to make war against another king? He about to go make war with the Ayatollah in Iran, right? Sitteth not down first and consulteth whether he be able with 10,000 to meet him that cometh against him with 20,000. But in this case, it's $1 million. You would have counted the cost. He counted the cost. He said, yeah, I'm going to give him 10,000. Let them go get put to death. And I'll just keep bombing them. He said, even if you cut the head of the snake off, we're still going to be operating. That's what Pete Hegseth said. Yeah, that's a strong statement from your government, man. That shit sounded like you're going to get decapitated and still try to operate. That's exactly what that sounded like. Yeah, you might decapitate us, but we're still going to be operating. That's pathetic. Luke 14, verse 32, or else, while the other is yet a great way off, he sendeth an ambassage and desireth conditions of peace. Just like him now. Yeah, I desire the conditions of peace. And he's saying he don't want to talk to them, but they're saying we don't want to talk to you. They're saying we don't want to ceasefire with you. From what I read, they said they want the whole world to feel the war. That's why he's hitting all American interests. He wants the whole world to feel it. That's his mission. It's not surrender, man. It's to make the whole world feel the wrath of the Lord. And that's what the Lord's going to do. That's why we talk about pestilences and famines. And just like I was talking about the white plague, which is a form of tuberculosis that's antibiotic resistant. You have fun with that. They said over 900 and something cases in New York City alone last year that was resistant to antibiotics. Okay. Luke 14, verse 33. So likewise, whosoever he be of you that forsaketh not all that he hath, he cannot be my disciple. So you got to forsake it all, man. You gotta forsake your life too. That's another stumbling block to that's the Lord being a stumbling block. People thinking I gotta forsake my life. Yeah, when it comes to taking an MOTB or getting put to death, you gotta die. It's very simple. And people, a lot of people, they're not gonna die. They're gonna go take the MOTB, and then they're gonna die. Either way, you're gonna die. Luke 14, verse 34, salt is good, but if the salt have lost its savior or savor, wherewith shall it be seasoned? It is neither fit for the land, nor yet for the dunghill, but men cast it out. He that have ears to hear, let him hear. Yeah, if salt that lost its savor, you can't, salt's a preservative. So, If you don't have any salt, you're gonna throw that out. You ain't preserving nothing. You're supposed to be having this word. You're supposed to be teaching this word. You're supposed to be having the word. If you don't have either or, what can he do with you? He can't do nothing with you. So he's gonna just throw you out. No use for you. All right. Let me end it here. Let me go to Job. So that's the spirit that the duck sending 10,000 troops. So that shows he's not counting the cost. He's gonna be looking for conditions of peace. Because there ain't enough hotels over there in the Middle East to protect you, man. You're gonna be hiding amongst the civilizations. They might start wearing turbans and shit when they get over there. They might start dressing like the U.S. military might put on turbans and dress up like women. They might literally do that. Because they ain't got enough space over there, so you ain't gonna know who is who. They're gonna be dressing up like Iranian women, covering their faces and shit. Tells you in Jeremiah 51:30, they have forborne to fight. They become like women. That might be a strategic move they might do when they get out when they get out there. Like here, men. Here's your hijabi. I think that's what they call it. They're like wearing masks over here. Job chapter 6 and verse 6. Can that which is unsavory be eaten without salt? Or is there any taste in the white of an egg? That's right. Is there any taste in the white of an egg? Is that which is unsavory be eaten without salt? Okay. There really ain't too much taste in the white of an egg. Okay. What is this? But I'm ending here. Lord's will, this was edifying. I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh. B'Hashem Yahweh Shai, B'Hashem Rachak Kodash. Shalom, Abba Ball, Kwam Yasharala.